Are you living life in a rush? Spinning around with work day and night, your stomach growling because you barely manage a proper meal, your eyes heavy from lack of sleep, from countless sleepless nights at your desk. Perhaps you're racing against time, striving to achieve your unfinished dreams. But your steps are too hurried. You're constantly running and forgetting to love yourself. And now, let's join Why Is That? For this first episode, there's a terrifying feeling called helplessness. Helplessness can be simply understood as having a clear desire and reason to do something, but lacking the strength to carry it out, being unable to do it, or being stuck without a solution. When this feeling of helplessness overwhelms you, you realize you have nothing, not even a blink of an eye. You see everything as meaningless, even your own existence, a suffocating feeling you can't even see. So, what exactly is helplessness? In the opening of Chapter 10 of Haruki Murakami's Norwegian Wood, it is written, "When I recall 1969, my mind sees only a swamp, a deep, sticky quagmire that seems to want to suck me in and drag me away. Each time I took a step, I walked through that mud, my strength gradually ebbing. Before me and behind me, I saw nothing but the endless darkness of the swamp." Have you ever felt so helpless that you burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably? Why do people cry when they feel helpless? This podcast episode will tell you about the many forms of that feeling. When she was in elementary school, she had a cat the same age as her. It had lived with her since she was born, like childhood sweethearts. They ate, played, slept, and did everything together. But when she started first grade, she came home to find her cat unable to walk steadily. It staggered, then lay down, vomiting and foaming at the mouth. Its small body convulsed, and she too sobbed, crying her heart out. Her parents said it had been poisoned. She just cried in despair, watching her dear friend being taken away by those cruel people. The nearby cats were gasping, then stopped breathing, and she felt utterly helpless, not knowing what to do. That was the first time she truly tasted what helplessness felt like. A little older, and the feeling of helplessness takes on more shapes and forms. Like when her friend, whom she trusted implicitly, lied and blamed her. Do you understand that feeling of shock when you realize the person you treated with your whole heart turns around and stabs you in the back? At that moment, the young girl cried again. When she tried to explain to everyone, no one would listen. Her teachers didn't believe her friend was lying. They looked at the story her friend had concocted and believed the lies delivered with such a cold, straight face. Seeing her crying, helpless attempts to clear her name, they just sighed, too weary to even care. It turns out, the feeling of helplessness also comes with loneliness. No one believed her then. Now there's another form. When she watched the film Dear Ex, a tear-soaked tragedy involving 3 adults, the wife, the husband's gay lover, and a child, their biological son, she could never forget this line. How long is 10,000 years? It's from when the person you love leaves you, returning to a normal life. From then on, each day is 10,000 years of normal life. That's right. The husband character in the film feared public opinion. He bowed to societal norms and prejudices, choosing to marry and have children to escape his true self. Only when he was diagnosed with cancer did he dare to live authentically in his final days. Vividly, amidst the melancholic, vintage-tinted scenes, dominated by hues of closed green and orange, she saw the helplessness of all the characters. The gay lover, what could he do when his beloved surrendered to societal pressure and married a woman? A heavy helplessness when his love couldn't overcome social prejudice. She also saw the helplessness of the pitiable wife. Even after her husband died, she received no explanation. She suffered, fighting to claim the insurance money her husband left to his lover. At this moment, tears of helplessness fell once more. Helplessness also has a sound. It's the wife's voice, hoarse from screaming in a video she accidentally saw on social media. The wife caught her husband and his lover in the car that she and her husband had worked so hard to save up for. She beat her husband. She had never lost control like that before. She wanted to rush and tear apart the person destroying her family's happiness, but everyone stopped her. She could do nothing but scream and cry. At this moment, the feeling of helplessness isn't about having no one to defend her, but helplessness because something clearly within her grasp was slipping away. Helplessness when betrayed by the very people you love. Helplessness can also be silent. It's the large, mottled birthmark on someone's face, the disabled legs, the eyes that can no longer see the light. Helplessness when, from the moment you're born, you already feel defeated, resigned to your fate with a heavy heart. Helplessness often comes with love. Like when a father strains himself, carrying his child up to the highest building, drenched in sweat, so his child can fulfill his dying wish. That was a scene that brought tears to her eyes in the film Father and Son by director Luong Din Dung. The son, named Ka, was a Highland boy who lost his mother and lived with his grandmother by the river. Every day, the father and son cast nets to catch fish, living a peaceful life until a severe illness struck Ka. Ka dreamed of going to the city, to the tallest building, to see if it was different from their home. But that place was where he was preparing to go to heaven. She saw helplessness etched in the father's voice and eyes. Despite having to sell 160,000 fish, that father always held a glimmer of hope that his child would be saved. That father hung his small boat, waiting for his son to go to a faraway, sorrowful place, full of helplessness. That father carried his son his whole life and carried all the dreams that never came true. Helplessness often comes with love, because besides love, we have nothing else. In the film, the characters didn't cry, but she did. Helplessness also comes with disadvantage. The two words themselves reflect it. Helplessness from lacking the power or resources to protect your loved ones. That feeling when your parents, siblings, family need a shoulder to lean on, but you are weak and have nothing but tears. After several years of university, she graduated and started working. You might think she would choose an office job, going to work in the morning, gathering with friends in the evening, thinking I'm still young, life is long, just live and enjoy. But then one day, her parents fell ill. The day she held the doctor's diagnosis, she felt numb. The cost for treatment and surgery was too great. For 4 years during university, her parents struggled, relying on bank support for her and her siblings to study, with no savings at all. In the few years since she graduated and started working, she hadn't saved much either. She blamed herself, wondering what she had done all those days. Why hadn't she tried harder, worked more diligently? Now her parents were old and frail. They only had her to rely on, and now she was useless. Now she had nothing but tears. Helplessness can also be invisible, without any particular form. It just suddenly washes over her. She feels helpless with herself, unable to control her own body. She doesn't want to cry, but tears well up. She feels helpless when she can't control her emotions. She doesn't want to get angry and raise her voice at people over trivial things. She feels helpless when she can't control her disordered eating behavior or even restrain self-harming actions. Why does helplessness come with such suffering? Because when helpless, people feel a loss of power, will, and hope. They feel distressed when they cannot control events, which relates to their autonomy and self-governance. People usually feel comfortable and safe when they have control and can make decisions about situations in their lives. When an event occurs that they cannot control, they can feel threatened, unbalanced, and unsafe. Additionally, the feeling of helplessness can also stem from life's obstacles, from difficulties that people don't know how to overcome. This makes them feel insecure and disappointed in themselves. Why do people cry when they're helpless? When people are helpless and cannot control events, crying can give them a small sense of autonomy and self-governance. In this case, crying can be a way for them to express their emotions and exert some control, at least over their feelings, helping them feel safer in their psychological space. But dear listener, do you know that many people don't even bother to cry when they feel helpless? When bad things happen, we always want to believe that we'll do everything to change the circumstances, like someone who falls into a swamp. At first, they'll try to scream for help, struggle, try every method they can think of. However, for some reason, with each failure, their position sinks a little deeper until they can no longer see the light. That's when people feel they can't control what's happening. Gradually, they tend to give up and accept fate, as if they are truly powerless to resist. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. The initial experiments forming the foundation for this theory were conducted by two psychologists, Martin Seligman and Stephen Mayer, in the 1960s. The experiment involved dogs receiving mild electric shocks. Since this experiment sounds quite harsh, I won't go into detail. In short, after being mildly shocked, the dogs learned that they couldn't escape and would be shocked again, so they refused to believe in their ability to escape, even though they were capable of freeing themselves. Or, drawing from less technical experimental examples, the image of learned helplessness appears frequently around us. When baby elephants are chained, their legs tied to an iron bar with strong steel ropes, preventing them from breaking free, they try to struggle many times. Over time, the baby elephants realize that no matter how much they struggle or how much strength they use, they cannot escape the rigid chains and iron bar. Eventually, they accept the fixed range of movement dictated by the chain. When they grow up, their strength far exceeds the threshold to break the chain, but they don't. This is because, in the past, the elephants learned that all efforts were futile. Psychologists found that this learned helplessness is closely linked to depression. People who have experienced depression in the past are more likely to accept depression in the future and are therefore less likely to try to change. This is also true for people living in domestic violence situations. Those who couldn't escape violence in their homes are more likely to refuse help and accept future violence as inevitable. And the more we witness our own failures or those of others, the less likely we are to try to change, even when circumstances have significantly shifted. There are 3 key factors in these psychological findings: motivation, cognition, and emotion. Motivation is when the subject lacks responses or methods that could help them escape negative states. Cognition here relates to thinking that a situation is uncontrollable. Finally, emotion refers to the distressing states that arise when the subject feels they have lost control of their own situation. These individuals will move from resistance to denial, acceptance, despair, and only then to helplessness. This is a vicious cycle that forms depression. Helplessness, also known as hopelessness depression, has been identified and specifically named by Seligman and his colleagues. The purpose of providing these examples is for you to understand that learned helplessness is an invisible chain embedded in the mind. It means that because you've tried to resist and find a way out, but you've failed just like those elephants or small dogs, you get stuck in a chain of negative events. Despite many attempts, no light of freedom appears, so you gradually accept and give up. Although we know that human life and psychology are more complex than what a simple experiment can simulate, as it involves their cognitive processes, and these theories of learned helplessness still need further development to be fully applicable to humans, these conclusions also form an important step in changing the perception of those who are daily trapped in the shackles of negativity. So, dear listener, let's continue to persevere together. There's a piece of advice I learned from Dr. Zog that I think might help you. If you're feeling helpless, try helping someone else. Helpless because she couldn't save her beloved cat, yet the young girl will still love and rescue other struggling animals. Helpless because close friends or lovers betrayed their trust, yet they are still ready to help others when asked. Helpless because they cannot have an intact appearance like normal people, yet they will continue to move forward and inspire the community. Helpless because you cannot care for your parents or children. In truth, your parents and children don't blame you at all, not in the slightest. They truly love you and want the best for you. Risks that arise are things no one wants, but seriously think about it and make a lot of effort from a young age. Don't let it be that when your parents need you, you have nothing but tears. Don't let it be that when your daughter needs you, you have nothing but shame. Perhaps immediately in that helpless situation, you can't help anyone else right away, but you will make a difference. Don't think you are useless and can't do anything, because helping someone else starts with small things. Sometimes, just a smile can help a stranger on the street feel sunshine in their heart. Who knows, helping others with these small things might be like tiny bricks, roots of trees and grass, or a guiding stick for you to leverage yourself out of that deep, sticky swamp. Night passes and day comes again. Try a little harder, and the road will become less bumpy, and the day will once again be filled with morning sunshine.